Hi, my name is Mark and I'm here with Amber to discuss the main points and information surrounding the coronavirus job retention scheme. The discussion is aimed primarily with employers in mind, but there is still useful information included for employees as well. The government is taking unprecedented steps to help companies with their finances during these challenging times and has delivered an economic stimulus package worth hundreds of billions of pounds. One of the most significant measures introduced was the coronavirus job retention scheme, which promises to support employees who are furloughed by paying a proportion of their wages, which will therefore help to free up cash for businesses to help them through this tough time.
So what does this scheme offer?
The Coronavirus Job Retention Scheme is a temporary scheme open to all UK employers for at least 3 months starting from the 1st of March 2020 that is designed to support employers whose operations have been severely affected by coronavirus. Employers can use a portal to claim for 80% of furloughed employees' usual monthly wage costs up to £2,500 a month, plus the associated employer national insurance contributions and minimum automatic enrolment employer contributions on that wage as well.
What businesses are eligible for this scheme?
Any UK organisation with employees can apply for the scheme, including businesses, charities, recruitment agencies, that is agency workers that are paid through PAYE, and public authorities. However, you must have created and started a PAYE payroll scheme on or before the 28th of February and also have a UK bank account in order to access the scheme.
Which employees can benefit from the scheme?
Essentially, any employee has been furloughed. So the scheme applies to employees on a leave of absence, referred to as furloughed workers. These employees who remain on the payroll, but who might normally have been laid off or made redundant due to a lack of work. Furloughed employees must have been on your PAYE payroll on the 28th of February 2020 and can be on any type of contract, including full-time, part-time, employees on agency contracts, and employees on flexible or 0-hour contracts. To be eligible for the scheme, an employee must not undertake work for or on behalf of the organisation. This includes providing services or generating revenue. However, they can undertake other voluntary work or do training so long as it does not generate income for the business. Employees must be paid at least the national minimum wage or the national living wage for time spent training. So it's just a point to note that employers may have to top up the salary to cover the minimum amount.
How is the scheme applied to someone whose pay varies monthly, for example?
If the employee has been employed for a full 12 months prior to the claim, you can claim for the hire of either the same month's earnings from the previous year or the average monthly earnings covering the 1920 tax year. If the employee has been employed for less than a year, then you can still claim for the average of their monthly earnings since they started work. And those employees that started in February 2020 should have their pay for February prorated in order that they don't lose out. As an employer, it's important to note that it is your responsibility to calculate how much of an employee's salary you can claim for, including the amount of employer national insurance contributions and the minimum automatic enrolment employer pension contributions you're entitled to.
What if a staff member has already been made redundant? Could they still benefit from this scheme?
Yeah, so the scheme covers employees who are made redundant since 28th of February 2020 if they are rehired by their employer. This also covers employees who may have left to join a new role, which was later fell through due to the coronavirus. So what essentially can happen is the former employer can agree to rehire that employee in those circumstances. It is important that this change is communicated when contacting HMRC, who are administering the scheme.
What about directors of the business? Can they be put on furlough even though they've obviously got custodial obligations for the business that can't be suspended?
Yeah, so HMRC have confirmed that directors of a company, even those that are the only director of a company, can be furloughed like any member of staff who is on PAYE, subject to the previous conditions. Technically, these directors can't then work for the company, but they can continue to perform their statutory obligations, including filing confirmation statements and accounts, for example. A key point to this is that only the PAYE element of a director's wage will be covered. We know that a lot of owner managed businesses will include a remuneration package for the owners, which will include a mix of PAYE and dividends. And unfortunately, only the PAYE element of this remuneration package is going to be covered by the scheme.
Does the scheme cover performance-related pay?
Unfortunately, the scheme does not cover fees, commissions, and bonuses. But should an employer wish to still cover these, they can continue to pay so separately if they wish, but there won't be any relief for them.
Does this scheme also cover someone on statutory sick pay?
So employees on sick leave or self-isolating should be eligible for statutory sick pay, but can be furloughed after this period. Those employees most at risk from the virus who are shielding in line with public guidance can also be placed on furlough. Employees on unpaid leave are not eligible for the scheme unless they are placed on unpaid leave after the 28th of February.
What about maternity pay and shared parental leave?
Those who are contractually obliged to enhance maternity, adoption, or shared parental pay are eligible for the scheme, but not those on statutory maternity pay. Those on statutory maternity pay, they'll be paid in the same way and cannot be additionally furloughed. It's worth highlighting that furloughed employees have the same rights as they did previously. So this includes statutory sick pay, entitlement, maternity rights, other parental rights, rights against unfair dismissal, and to redundancy payments.
What if a business has had to reduce the hours of some staff members? Can they then use the scheme to make up the difference?
No, essentially, if an employee has been furloughed, they're not allowed to work for the company. So if an employee is working but on reduced hours or for reduced pay, they won't be eligible for the scheme, and you'll have to continue paying the employee through the payroll and pay their salary subject to the terms of the employment contract you agreed.
So how do businesses make a claim for the scheme, and what do they need to do?
Before making a claim, it's important that employers communicate changes with staff. Employers should discuss with their staff and make any changes to their employment contract by agreement. Existing employment law continues to apply, and that's an important point, and should be considered when changing an employee's status, i.e. to furloughed. To be eligible, an employer must write to their employee to confirming that they have been furloughed and keep a record of this communication. Where a business or organisation is furloughing a large workforce, it may be necessary to take consultation or to be done so on a collective basis. The employer must then submit the following information to HMRC. So you'll need to submit your PAYE reference number, the number of employees being furloughed, the claim period, be it the start and end date, and the amount claimed per the minimum length of furloughing of 3 weeks. And then the additional admin information will be your bank account number and sort code, contact name and contact number. You can only submit one claim at least every 3 weeks, which ties in with the minimum length of time an employee can be furloughed for, and these can be backdated to 1st of March. The scheme will continue for at least 3 months, but the government have said they will extend this if necessary.
How will funding be received via the scheme?
So once HMRC has received your claim and determined that you are eligible for the grant, they will pay it to the business via backs payment to a UK bank account. A claim should be made in accordance with the actual payroll amounts at the point at which you run your payroll or in advance of an imminent payroll. You must pay the employees all of the grant you receive for their gross pay. No fees can be charged from the money that is granted.
And what happens at the end of the scheme?
So the scheme is currently scheduled to run until the end of May, but the government has left the option to extend it if necessary. After the scheme ends, employers must make a decision depending on their circumstances and the circumstances of the country as to whether employees can return to their duties. If not, it may be necessary, unfortunately, for employers to consider redundancy. Thanks for listening. Our team at Knights Law is here to help you with the administration of the scheme with your business and can help you collate and submit the records you require to make a claim. We understand that certain elements of the scheme are complex and require careful calculation, so please feel free to contact us if you have any questions at all, and hopefully we'll be able to help you and your business. The contact number for the Knightslow office is 01284 701 300, or feel free to email me directly on mark.lake@knightslow.co.uk. That's Mark with a C. Alternatively, there is a contact us form available on the website where you can request a callback.